The last night, the snow was falling without mercy. It covered the forest in white silence. Trees stood still like frozen giants. The wind moved slowly, but it carried a deep, cutting cold. It was the kind of cold that did not just touch the skin. It went inside the bones. In the middle of that endless white forest, something small was moving. A dragon child. He was no bigger than a large dog. His scales were dull silver, but now they looked gray under the snow. One of his small wings was torn. Dried blood had frozen near the edge. His claws dragged lines in the snow as he walked. He was cold. He was hungry. He was alone. His stomach hurt so much that he could not even growl. He had not eaten in 3 days. No small animals. No warmth. No fire strong enough to hunt. Once he had a family. Once he had a nest high in the mountains. But humans had come with fire and iron. He remembered the loud sounds, the screams, the smoke. He remembered his mother pushing him away with her nose. Fly, she had told him. He tried. He was too small. He crashed into trees, fell into snow, hid under rocks. When he looked back, the sky was full of smoke. He never saw his family again. Now he walked alone in a world that hated him. The dragon child stopped. His legs were shaking. He tried to breathe fire to warm himself. A small spark came out, just a weak blue flicker. It died in the cold air. His fire was fading. A dragon without fire does not survive long in winter. He looked up at the dark sky. Snow touched his face and melted slowly. He did not cry. Dragons do not cry easily. But he felt something heavy inside his chest. Fear. The forest had no food left. Winter had taken everything. Even the rabbits were gone. He knew what would happen if he stayed. He would fall. He would close his eyes, and the snow would cover him. Forever. The wind changed direction. He smelled something. Smoke. Not wildfire. Not dragon fire. This was different. This was human smoke. Warm. Thick. With the smell of cooked food. His head lifted slowly. Far away, between the trees, he could see a faint orange glow. A village. Humans. The same creatures who hunted his kind. The same creatures who killed his family. His body moved back one step. Instinct told him to run. Humans did not forgive dragons. Humans did not see children. They saw monsters. But his stomach twisted again. He almost fell. The cold was stronger now. His vision blurred for a moment. If he stayed in the forest, he would die. If he went to the village, he might be killed. He had two choices. Die alone in the snow, or take one last risk. The dragon child stood there for a long time. Snow slowly covered his back. His breathing became slower. He remembered something. His mother once told him, not all humans are the same. He did not understand it then. He did not know if it was true. But tonight, that memory was the only small light in his mind. He turned toward the village. Each step hurt. The snow near the village was thinner because humans walked there often. He could see footprints. He followed them slowly. The smell of food became stronger. Bread, meat, warmth. He reached the edge of the forest. From behind a tree, he saw it clearly. Small wooden houses. Soft yellow light from windows. Smoke rising from chimneys. He could hear laughter. Human voices. Normal life. His heart beat faster. If they saw him, they would scream. They would call hunters. Arrows. Fire. Chains. He did not have the strength to fight. He did not even want to fight. He just wanted warmth. Just one night without freezing. Just one meal. He stepped forward. A branch cracked under his claw. A dog in the village started barking. The dragon froze. Lights moved inside one of the houses. A door opened. A tall human man stepped outside, holding a lantern. The warm light spread across the snow. The dragon child tried to move back into the shadows, but his legs failed. His body finally gave up. He collapsed in the snow near the edge of the village. The lantern light moved closer. The human man stopped when he saw the shape on the ground. Silence filled the night. The dragon child opened his eyes one last time. He saw the human shadow standing over him. This was it. His last choice had been made. Would this be the end, or the beginning of something he never expected? The snow continued to fall as the human slowly stepped closer. The enemy's door. The lantern light stopped inches from the dragon's face. The human did not move. The dragon child could hear his own weak heartbeat. Slow, heavy, fading. The man was tall and wide-shouldered. His hands were rough. A blacksmith. His coat smelled of iron and smoke. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The dragon waited for pain, for a blade, for a shout that would wake the village. Instead, the man slowly lowered the lantern. He looked closer. The dragon was not roaring, not attacking, not even growling, just shivering. The man's eyes moved to the torn wing, the frozen blood, the thin body. "This is just a child," he whispered. But his jaw tightened. His face changed. Memories came back. Flames. Screams. A burning house. He remembered dragons in the sky years ago. He remembered losing everything. His hands slowly moved toward the axe hanging behind his back. The dragon child saw the movement. He tried to move. He tried to crawl away. But his body did not listen. He could not even stand. The human lifted the axe halfway. His grip was strong. One swing. That was all it would take. The dragon closed his eyes. He did not fight. He did not beg. He simply waited. The wind howled between them. The man's hand trembled. Then something strange happened. The dragon made a small sound. Not a growl. Not a roar. A weak, broken whimper. Like a lost animal. The sound hit the man harder than any claw ever could. His grip on the axe loosened. He looked again. This was not the monster from his memories. This was not the creature that burned his home. This was a starving child. Cold. Alone. Dying. The man cursed under his breath. "If the village sees you, they will kill you," he muttered. The dragon did not understand the words, but he understood the tone. It was not anger. It was conflict. The man looked back at the village. The houses were quiet again. The dog had stopped barking. He had seconds to decide. Kill the dragon and protect the village. Or save the dragon and risk everything. His chest felt tight. Then he made his choice. He dropped the axe into the snow. The sound was soft, but it felt louder than thunder. He bent down. Slowly. Carefully. The dragon's body was lighter than he expected. Too light. Bones under scales. No strength left. The dragon's eyes opened slightly as he was lifted. He did not understand why he was still alive. The man carried him toward his house at the edge of the village. Each step felt heavier. If anyone saw this. He reached his door, opened it quietly, slipped inside. The house was warm. The heat from a forge in the back room filled the air. The dragon felt it instantly. Warmth. Real warmth. His frozen body reacted. Small sparks flickered at the edge of his mouth. The man placed him near the fire, but not too close. He watched carefully. If the dragon attacked, he would act fast. But the dragon did not move. He simply lay there, breathing slowly. The man took a thick blanket and placed it over the small body. His hands paused for a moment. He had not touched a dragon since that night years ago. His hands should have been shaking, but they were steady. "You don't look like a killer," he said quietly. The dragon's breathing became softer. He was not fully awake, not fully asleep. The man stood up and walked to the table. He cut a small piece of dried meat. Then he hesitated. Was he really doing this? If the village found out, he imagined the hunters. Torches. Angry faces. They would not listen to reason. They would say dragons grow into monsters. They would say mercy is weakness. A sudden knock hit the door. Hard. The man froze. Another knock. "Open up," a voice shouted from outside. His heart dropped. "Hunters." Already? The dragon's eyes opened slowly at the sound. Fear returned instantly. The man looked at the door, then at the dragon, then back at the door. "Did you see something near your house?" The voice outside asked loudly. The dog was barking. "We think something came out of the forest." The dragon tried to move. He tried to stand. He wanted to leave. He did not want this human to suffer because of him, but he was too weak. The man walked toward the door slowly. Each step felt like walking toward a cliff. He placed his hand on the handle. If he opened it fully, they might see inside. If he lied, they might search. Behind him, near the fire, a tiny blue flame flickered again. Stronger this time. The dragon child was not normal, and the hunters outside had no idea what was slowly waking up inside that small, starving body. The knock came again. Louder. "Open the door." The man took a deep breath and turned the handle. The fire that should not exist. The door opened. Cold air rushed inside. 3 hunters stood outside. Heavy boots, thick coats, bows in their hands, swords at their sides. Their eyes were sharp. "We saw tracks," one of them said. "Big ones." The blacksmith kept his face calm. "Wolves," he replied. "Winter makes them desperate." The tallest hunter stepped forward. He pushed the door wider without asking. His eyes scanned the room, the fire, the table, the floor. For 1 second, his gaze moved toward the corner near the forge. The dragon child lay behind a wooden workbench, hidden in shadow. But his breathing was not steady anymore. Fear made it faster, and something else was happening. The warmth of the forge was feeding him. The tiny blue spark inside his chest was growing. The hunter walked 2 steps inside. The blacksmith blocked his path casually. "You come into my house without permission now," he said in a low voice. The hunter smirked. "If there is a dragon near the village, we don't need permission." The word dragon felt heavy in the room. Behind a bench, the child heard it. Dragon. Monster. Enemy. His claws dug into the wooden floor. He did not want to be here. He did not want trouble. He slowly tried to crawl toward the back door. But his torn wing brushed against a metal tool. It fell. Clang. The sound echoed in the quiet house. Silence. Every hunter turned their head. The tallest one narrowed his eyes. What was that? The blacksmith did not answer fast enough. The hunter moved quickly around him. One more step, and he would see. The dragon child looked up. Their eyes met. For a long second, the hunter froze. He expected a giant beast. Instead, he saw a small, shaking creature. Thin, weak, eyes full of fear. But then he saw something else. The dragon's eyes were not normal. They were glowing faint blue. The air around him felt different, warmer. The hunter lifted his bow instantly. "Dragon," he shouted. Everything moved at once. The blacksmith grabbed the bow and pushed it upward. The arrow fired into the ceiling. Wood splintered. The other hunters drew their weapons. The dragon tried to stand. He fell again. He was still too weak. But inside him, something was waking up. Something ancient. Something old. His heart began to beat faster. Not from fear, from power. Blue fire slowly spread under his scales like glowing cracks. The room temperature began to rise. The hunters stepped back slightly. "That's not normal," one of them whispered. The dragon child did not understand what was happening. His body felt hot. Too hot. Pain shot through his chest. Memories flashed in his mind. Not his own. Massive wings covering the sky. Mountains breaking. Cities burning. A voice deep like thunder. "You carry the first flame." The dragon screamed, but it was not a normal scream. Blue fire exploded outward in a wave. Not burning, not destroying, but pushing everything back. The hunters were thrown against the walls. The blacksmith fell to one knee, but did not look afraid. He looked shocked. The dragon stood up. His small body was shaking, but now he was surrounded by soft blue fire. The flames did not burn the house. They moved like living light. The hunters stared in horror. "That's ancient fire," one whispered. "That's royal blood." The tallest hunter tried to stand. "We have to kill it now," he shouted. He rushed forward with his sword. The dragon saw the blade coming. Instinct took over. His eyes flashed bright. Time felt slower. The air around him became heavy. The sword stopped inches from his face. Not because the hunter stopped, because the air itself would not let it move. The hunter's arm trembled like it was pushing against stone. The dragon's fire flared brighter. Outside, the sky changed. Clouds moved unnaturally fast. Wind circled the house. In the distance, something answered. A roar. Deep. Massive. Not close. But not far either. The hunters heard it. Their faces turned pale. "That sound," one whispered. The blacksmith slowly stood up. He looked at the dragon child. Not with fear, but with realization. "You're not just a lost child," he said quietly. The dragon's flames slowly lowered. His strength was leaving again. The power had awakened too fast, too strong. His legs shook. The fire dimmed, and he collapsed. The pressure in the air vanished. The hunters stumbled backward toward the door. "That roar," the tallest one said again. If that was an adult, they did not finish the sentence, because they all knew. If an ancient dragon was coming, this village would not survive. The blacksmith looked outside through the open door. The wind was stronger now. Snow was moving in circles. Something big was moving in the sky behind the clouds. Watching, waiting, and inside the small house, the dragon child lay unconscious. The first flame had awakened, and the world would never be the same again. The shadow above the village. The dragon child lay unconscious on the wooden floor. The blue fire around him had vanished. Only soft smoke rose from his small body. The house was silent, too silent. The hunters slowly stood up. Their hands were shaking, not from cold, from fear. They had hunted dragons before, but they had never seen fire like that. That was royal flame, one whispered. Only the old blood carries it. The tallest hunter's face turned pale. If that is true, then something bigger is coming. As if the sky heard him, a shadow moved above the clouds. Massive, slow, watching. The wind became stronger. Snow began to spin in circles around the village. Doors opened. Villagers stepped outside. They looked up and saw it, a shape moving inside the clouds. Too large to be a bird, too wide to be a storm. A dragon, but not a normal one. The clouds themselves seemed afraid of it. The blacksmith stepped outside the house slowly. Behind him, the dragon child still lay weak and silent. The hunters followed him out. One of them whispered, "We need to kill the child now, before the adult reaches us." The blacksmith turned sharply. "No." His voice was deep, firm. The tallest hunter grabbed his arm. "You don't understand. That thing in the sky will burn this village to the ground." The blacksmith looked up at the shadow. It did not attack. It did not roar again. It was waiting, watching the house, watching the child. "This is not an attack," the blacksmith said quietly. "This is a test." The hunters looked at him like he had lost his mind. "A test," one shouted. "That is death flying above us." Suddenly, the dragon child inside the house moved. His eyes opened. Blue light flickered inside them again. But this time it was calm, not wild, not painful. He slowly stood up. His body was still weak, but something inside him felt different. He could feel the presence above the clouds. It was not anger. It was pressure, like someone asking a question without words. The child stepped outside. The villagers gasped. Some screamed. Mothers pulled children behind them. Men reached for weapons. But no one attacked, because at that exact moment, the clouds split open, and everyone saw it clearly. A colossal dragon descended slowly from the sky. Its scales were dark silver, almost black. Its wings were wide enough to cover half the village. Its eyes burned gold. Ancient, powerful, royal. The ground trembled when it landed beyond the houses. The dragon child felt small, very small, but he did not run. The massive dragon lowered its head slowly. Its golden eyes locked onto the child. Silence covered the village. Then a voice entered the dragon child's mind. Not spoken, felt. "You survived." The child's legs trembled. He did not understand fully, but he knew this creature, not by face, by blood. "You carry the first flame." The voice continued inside his mind. "You were meant to die." The child's heart pounded. Meant to die? "The weak do not inherit the flame," the ancient dragon said. "The world is cruel. A king must choose." The villagers watched in frozen fear. They could not hear the mental words. They only saw two dragons staring at each other. The ancient dragon's gaze shifted slightly toward the blacksmith. "You were given a choice," the voice told the child. "Revenge for your family, or trust in those who hunt us." The child remembered the axe raised above him, the knock on the door, the arrow, the warmth, the blanket, the blacksmith standing between him and the hunters. The child slowly walked forward. Every step hurt, but he kept moving. He stopped in front of the blacksmith and gently leaned his head against the man's side. The entire village gasped. The ancient dragon's golden eyes narrowed. "Mercy," the voice said slowly. "You chose mercy." The hunters stepped back in confusion. They expected fire, destruction, but the massive dragon did not attack. Instead, it lifted its head high and let out a roar. Not of rage, of announcement. The sound echoed across mountains, across valleys, far beyond the village. A message. The test was over. The ancient dragon looked down at the child one last time. "The first flame belongs to you," it said inside his mind. You are not prey. You are not exile. You are heir. The dragon child did not fully understand the word, but he felt its weight. Heir, future, leader. The ancient dragon slowly spread its massive wings. Wind exploded outward, pushing snow and people backward. Then it rose into the sky again. The clouds closed. The shadow disappeared. Silence returned. The village stood in shock. The hunters lowered their weapons slowly. The dragon child was no longer shaking from fear. He stood beside the blacksmith. Small, but no longer helpless. The blacksmith looked down at him. "What are you?" he whispered. The child looked up at him. His blue eyes glowed softly. He did not know the full answer yet, but he knew one thing. He was no longer alone, and far away in the mountains. Other ancient eyes had opened, watching, waiting. The first flame had chosen its path, and now the world would have to face what that choice truly meant. The price of the first flame. The village did not celebrate. They did not cheer. They were afraid, very afraid. The ancient dragon was gone. The sky was clear again. The wind had calmed, but fear stayed behind. The dragon child stood near the blacksmith. Small, quiet, watching everyone. The hunters slowly stepped forward again. Their fear was turning into something else. Suspicion. If that creature was royal, the tallest hunter said carefully, then this one is not just a child. The villagers began whispering. Royal blood. Future king. That means war. The word war spread faster than fire. The blacksmith stepped in front of the dragon child again. He chose peace, he said firmly. He could have burned us. He didn't, but fear does not listen to logic. Fear listens to survival. One old man from the crowd shouted, "Dragons always grow. Today he is small. Tomorrow he destroys us." Several people agreed. The dragon child did not understand all the words, but he understood the tone. They did not want him here. The blue flame inside his chest flickered, not in anger, in pain. At that moment, a horn sounded from the north tower. Long, sharp, urgent. Everyone turned. Another horn answered from the east. The hunters' faces changed instantly. "That's not from us," one of them whispered. The blacksmith looked toward the forest. Snow was moving strangely between the trees. Too organized, too fast. Then shapes appeared. Not dragons. Something else. Large, armored, moving in lines. The tallest hunter's voice dropped low. Dragon slayers. Silence hit the village like a hammer. Dragon slayers were not simple hunters. They were trained soldiers. Metal armor built to resist fire. Heavy crossbows made to pierce dragon scales. They did not protect villages. They erased dragons. And anyone who protected them. The dragon child felt something cold inside him. Not winter cold. Danger cold. The blacksmith clenched his jaw. They tracked the royal dragon, he realized. They followed it here. The ground began to shake slightly as armored soldiers marched out of the forest. Their leader rode a black horse covered in iron plates. His helmet had horns shaped like dragon wings. His cape was made of red scales. Burned scales. He raised his hand. The soldiers stopped. His voice carried across the village. Hand over the royal hatchling. The villagers stepped back immediately. Fear turned into relief. Now, they had someone stronger to blame. One woman pointed toward the blacksmith's house. "It's there." The blacksmith's heart dropped. The dragon child stepped slightly in front of him. Small body, weak wing, but his eyes were no longer afraid. The dragon slayer leader removed his helmet slowly. His face had old burn scars. One eye was white and blind. He smiled coldly. "You made a mistake," he said to the blacksmith. "You let live." The blacksmith did not move. "He is a child." The leader laughed. "They all are. Until they aren't." He raised his hand. Dozens of crossbows lifted at once, all aimed at the dragon child. The village froze. The dragon child looked at the weapons. He remembered arrows. He remembered fire. He remembered losing everything. The blue flame inside him began to grow again. But this time it did not feel wild. It felt focused, controlled. The dragon slayer leader's voice became sharp. "Last chance." The blacksmith stepped in front of the dragon child fully now. "You want him," he said quietly. "You go through me." The leader's smile disappeared. "So be it." His hand dropped. Fire. The sound of crossbows releasing filled the air. But something impossible happened. Before the bolts could reach them, the dragon child stepped forward. Not back. Forward. The blue flame burst outward. But not as an explosion. As a wall. A curved shield of glowing fire formed in front of him. The bolts hit the blue barrier and melted midair. The soldiers gasped. The Dragon Slayer leader's eyes widened. "That's impossible," he whispered. The dragon child's body was shaking. He was using power far beyond his size. The shield flickered. The pressure was too much. He could not hold it long. The blacksmith saw it. He grabbed a hammer from his belt. "If you want to fight," he growled, "you'll get one." The soldiers began reloading. The leader's face turned serious now. "No more games," he ordered. Behind the dragon slayers, something else moved in the forest. Something watching. Silent. Waiting. Not the royal dragon. Something darker. Older. The dragon child felt it. A different presence. Not testing. Not judging. Hungry. The blue shield cracked. The child fell to one knee. The dragon slayer leader lifted his sword. "This ends now." But from a forest behind the soldiers, a deep growl rolled across the snow. Not dragon. Not human. The ground trembled harder. The soldiers slowly turned around. Between the trees, massive glowing eyes opened in the dark. And this time, whatever was coming was not here for peace. And not here for a test. It was here for the first flame. The devourer of flame. The glowing eyes in the forest did not blink. They did not move. They simply watched. The dragon slayers slowly stepped back, weapons still raised. Even they looked unsure now. The leader narrowed his one good eye. "That is not ours," he said quietly. The snow between the trees began to melt. Not from fire. From something darker. The air felt heavy. Hard to breathe. The dragon child felt it clearly. This presence was not ancient like the royal dragon. It was wrong. Hungry. Empty. A massive shape stepped out from the forest. It was larger than the royal dragon, but it was not beautiful. Its scales were cracked and black like burned stone. Its wings were torn. Its eyes glowed deep red. Smoke leaked from between its teeth. But there was no fire inside it. Only darkness. The blacksmith felt his chest tighten. "What is that?" he whispered. The dragon slayer leader's face turned pale. "That is a devourer." The word felt colder than winter. "Long ago," he said slowly, "some dragons tried to steal power they were not meant to hold. When the first flame rejected them, they became that." The creature stepped forward. The ground broke under its claws. Its eyes locked onto the dragon child. Not the soldiers. Not the village. Only the child. The dragon child felt something pulling at him. The blue flame inside his chest flickered violently. The devourer opened its mouth. Instead of fire, a dark wind rushed out. The blue shield around the child shattered completely. The child screamed as something invisible tried to pull the flame from inside him. The dragon slayers forgot their mission. They turned their weapons toward the devourer. "Fire!" the leader shouted. Bolts flew. They hit the monster's scales and broke like glass. The devourer did not even react. It stepped forward again. Its red eyes never left the child. The blacksmith grabbed the dragon child and pulled him back. But the child pushed away. "No," he whispered softly. His voice was weak, but clear. The blacksmith stared at him. The child stepped forward alone. He understood something now. The royal dragon did not just test him. It warned him. The first flame was not just power. It was balance. And the devourer was what happened when balance was broken. The creature roared. The sound cracked windows. Villagers fell to the ground, covering their ears. The dragon child closed his eyes. Inside his mind, the ancient voice returned. The flame does not belong to the strongest. It belongs to the one who protects. The child opened his eyes. They were no longer just glowing blue. They were shining like the sky at sunrise. He spread his small wings. They were torn, broken, but light began to form around them. The devourer lunged forward. The ground exploded beneath its claws. Before it could reach him, the dragon child did something no one expected. He did not attack. He did not run. He stepped directly toward it. The devourer's dark wind wrapped around him, trying to pull the flame out. Pain shot through his body. He cried out, but he kept walking. The blacksmith shouted his name. The Dragon Slayer leader watched in shock. "What is he doing?" one soldier whispered. The child reached the Devourer's chest. He placed his small claw against the cracked black scales. The Devourer roared in fury. The child whispered something soft. "I choose to share." The blue flame burst outward, but this time it was not violent. It was warm, bright, pure. The light spread across the Devourer's body. Where darkness touched it, the cracks began to glow. The red eyes flickered. The dark wind weakened. The Devourer screamed, not in rage, in pain, real pain. Memories flashed in the child's mind. He saw what the creature once was. A proud dragon, powerful, ambitious, who tried to take more flame than his heart could carry. The first flame did not reject him. It left him, and emptiness consumed him. The child pushed more light forward, not to destroy, to heal. The Devourer's massive body shook violently. The dragon slayers stood frozen. They had trained their whole lives to kill dragons, but they had never seen one heal another. The black scales slowly began to fade. The red eyes dimmed. The dark wind stopped. With one final roar, the Devourer collapsed. The ground trembled. Snow rose into the air. When the dust settled, the giant monster was gone. In its place lay a smaller dragon, still large, but no longer broken. Its scales were gray instead of black. Its eyes were gold instead of red. The dragon child collapsed forward. The blue light faded. The blacksmith ran to him and caught him before he hit the ground. The village was silent. The Dragon Slayer leader slowly lowered his sword. "I have hunted dragons my entire life," he said quietly, "but I have never seen one save the world from itself." He looked at the child. "That is not a weapon. That is a king." The sky above the village cleared completely. Sunlight broke through the clouds for the first time in days. The healed dragon slowly stood. It bowed its massive head toward the unconscious child. Respect, not fear, not dominance. Respect. Far beyond the mountains, other dragons felt it. The first flame had chosen its path. Not destruction, not revenge, protection. But the child's breathing was weak, very weak. The blacksmith looked down at him. "Stay with me," he whispered, "because even kings can die, and the price of saving darkness may be heavier than anyone expected." The king who chose warmth. The dragon child was not breathing. The village was silent. No wind, no sound. Even the dragon slayers stood frozen. The blacksmith held the small body in his arms. The blue glow was gone. The scales were cold again. "No," he whispered. He had lost everything once before. He would not lose this child too. The healed dragon, the one that had been a devourer, stepped forward slowly. Its golden eyes were no longer filled with hunger. They were filled with shame and understanding. "It gave back what was stolen," the Dragon Slayer leader said quietly. "The first flame heals, but it takes from the one who carries it." The blacksmith looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" The leader's voice was heavy. "The first flame is life itself. To give it fully is to give your own." The words hit harder than any blade. The blacksmith clenched his jaw. "No." He pressed his forehead gently against the dragon child's head. "You said not all humans are the same," he whispered softly. "You trusted me." The village watched. For the first time, they did not see a monster. They saw a small, silent body in a man's arms. The Dragon Slayer leader stepped forward slowly. He removed his sword from his belt. The metal shined in the sunlight. The villagers gasped, but he did not raise it. He placed it on the ground. Then he knelt. A dragon slayer, kneeling. "If the flame can be given," he said slowly, "it can also be shared." The healed dragon moved closer. It lowered its massive head beside the child. Golden light began to gather in its chest. The blacksmith looked around. The hunters, the villagers, the soldiers, they all stood there, afraid, guilty, watching. The blacksmith made a decision. He stood up slowly, still holding the dragon child. He walked to the center of the village square. "If this child saved us," he said loudly, "then we do not stand and watch him die." Silence. Then something small happened. A little human girl stepped forward. She held a small piece of bread in her hands. It was all she had. She placed it beside the dragon child gently. "For him," she said, Another villager stepped forward. Then another. Not weapons. Not fear. They placed food, cloth, water, simple things, acts of warmth. The healed dragon closed its eyes. Golden light flowed from its chest into the child. The dragon slayer leader placed his hand over his own heart, and something incredible happened. The blue flame did not return alone. It mixed gold and blue together. The child's chest moved slightly. A weak breath. The blacksmith felt it. He's breathing, he whispered. The light grew brighter. The villagers stepped back as wind circled the square. But it was not cold wind. It was warm. The dragon child's eyes opened. They were no longer just blue. They were blue and gold. Balanced. Strong. Not wild. Not burning. Alive. The sky above the village cracked with light. Not destruction. Not fire. Wings. Dozens of dragons appeared high above. Watching. Witnessing. The ancient royal dragon from before descended slowly. It looked at the child, then at the humans, then at the dragon slayers kneeling. This, the ancient voice echoed in the child's mind, is why you were chosen. The dragon child slowly stood on his own. His torn wing began to repair itself slowly with glowing light. He was still small, still young, but something had changed. He was no longer alone. He stepped forward and looked at the dragon slayer leader. The man did not move, did not reach for a weapon. The child spoke clearly now. His voice was soft, but every person heard it. No more hunting. The leader bowed his head. No more hunting, he agreed. The dragon child then turned to the villagers. No more fear. Tears filled some eyes, because they realized something simple. The war between dragons and humans had never ended because of power. It ended because someone chose warmth. The ancient dragon lifted its wings. Rise, it commanded gently, and the dragon child rose into the air for the first time without falling. His wings were strong now, balanced by both blue and gold flame. The dragons above roared together, not in anger, in unity. The dragon slayer leader stood slowly. He looked at the blacksmith. You protected a king, he said. The blacksmith shook his head. No, he replied. I protected child. Years later, songs would be sung about that winter night. Not about a battle, not about destruction, but about a choice. Cold, hungry, alone. The dragon child made one last choice. And instead of burning the world, he warmed it. And from that day forward, the first flame was no longer feared. It was remembered as the fire that chose mercy.